The sun was as amazingly illuminating and bright in Karjaa this morning as it is here in Helsinki. It is because it is the same sun everywhere. This morning when we did Zazen in Sanneji, some thoughts came about this Zazenkai. So what I'm going to say. Perhaps it was a little bit like this slight nervousness, or those things happens time to time. But then very soon after those slightly uncomfortable feelings, I noticed this practice, Zazen practice that is really good for nothing, as Kodo Sabakiroshi famously says. And it felt so good, because it is good for nothing. It frees us, because we don't need to worry about anymore, because it's really not nothing that we can make into something. That it is a relief. It's a relief from the need that it should be something different than it is. I'm sure you have heard this Zazen or Zen practice is good for nothing. And it is indeed, although it comes from this Soto's Zen tradition, it is a koan, I would say. It is truly a koan, this good for nothing. What does that really is, this good for nothing? At least we can say that sometimes we try, or we want, especially people who are fairly new to this practice, might have this idea in the back in their heads that this practice should be good for something. That this is something that I can use in my work or in my life to make it better. Maybe I can develop some qualities that I haven't had chance to show. Maybe more calm, creativeness maybe comes, kindness, different kind of things that will make my life feel and look better. But I don't know, but if that is the case, I think sooner or later we will find another practice than just this Zen. Because this doesn't work that fast. And if we are eager to find some solutions to see how our life is getting better, we might get disappointed. Because those things, although they are true, I believe that this practice will give many benefits for our beingness, well-beingness. But that is not why, at the first place, this practice emerged from the darkness of suffering. Because the root, sort of a root why this practice at the first place became alive is so deep that we probably don't even understand how deeply it is rooted, this practice, in our suffering. And of course it's not only my suffering, it is suffering that is everywhere. That is the suffering that is everywhere. When it is only my personal suffering, then it is also kind of selfish, kind of holding back. This is my suffering. We try to make it our own suffering, and then it becomes really suffering. If I can lessen your suffering, then I will lessen my own suffering too. But if I only try to make my own suffering smaller, maybe that doesn't work so well. Maybe we have to open our hands and let our suffering go free. So good for nothing is pointing to that direction, I think. This practice is not good for me. This practice is good for you. My practice is good for you. I'm doing this because of you. It's a very different approach. And at the same time it makes also my own life easier. But it is understandable that we want to find different techniques that we can fix certain problems. And it's not our fault that we think so, because that is the example that we've been shown again and again. So one koan, I picked it up. I kind of pull it from the hat. And it was this time Mumonkan 12. Zuikan calls master. The case. Every day Zuikan used to call to himself, "Oh, master," and would answer himself, "Yes, be awake, be awake." He would exclaim, and then answer, "Yes, yes." Don't be deceived by others any day, any time. No, I will not. So this is a koan from the collection Mumonkan, number 12. To every day, Zuikan used to call to himself. He addressed himself, "Our master." And he answered himself, "Yes, be awake, be awake." When I first time read this, I thought it's a bit funny. Or strange even. Peculiar guy, this Zuikan, talking to himself. But maybe I even felt ashamed a little bit that, is this what a Zen does for us? We start to talk to ourselves. Isn't it enough already that I have told people that I come here, but if I start to talk even like this will be even more embarrassing. So this is a koan, which means that if someone is working with this koan, then you must dip your whole life into this story, like it would be some kind of marinade. Thoroughly you dip yourself into this story, and you will find out what is happening there. Exactly like if we just sit. If we just sit without any purpose whatsoever to make it into something, this practice. Even koans are like that. Even these stories are like that. We are not supposed to make them into something. Only we need to do is to release, to relieve, to realize what's happening there. It's already there, we don't have to add anything there. Like I said, it's just sitting in itself is a koan, and sometimes it is they say or talk about Genjo koan. In Soto school. Which is basically this life as it is just right now. And it is perfect the way it is just right now. And that in itself is a koan. It is a mystery. How so? How so this is perfect the way it is? I can find many reasons why this is not the case like that. So this Master Zuikan is addressing himself. But isn't that something that we do all the time? all the time we are talking to someone that we think we are. We are checking, for example. We're checking, are we okay? So this kind of inner dialogue, of course, can be many different things. It sounds almost also as some kind of neurotic thing. You have to check all the time that is everything okay. You are never at peace because you have to check. We are going to meet people, we are going to see someone, and we are not sure if we are okay. And at the end, we, like in this practice, we are going to meet our true self. While we are facing this wall. Practice itself is, of course, calling out. It's calling out, here I am. Here is this life happening the way I am. Even though we sit silently and we sit like almost we disappear, our true self is not hiding. Our life is exposed. And we can be free. One thing this practice and this calling, if we think that this Zuigan has a very clear mind, heart, if his heart and mind is so clear, why would he do that? For what reason he is asking? Is he practicing? Is he lost totally? Or is he just on the edge to find something very profound? I think it is a good practice to check one's practice while we are practicing. And I think you too, we do that. And if you don't, you can start to do it if you know how to do it. But what I just simply mean is that in the midst of our Zazen practice, we don't necessarily need to just continue. If we have chosen, let's say, a wrong path. I mean, we took the wrong turn, but then we just keep doing it. If we are sleeping, or if we are just daydreaming, or kind of halfway practicing, lukewarm, not really giving one's life, of course it's good to check. Okay, honestly, where I am. It's so simple, because there is not that many moving parts when we are practicing. In one sense we could say there is zero moving parts. So there is not so much that we have to check. Sitting bones, checked. Posture, checked. Not leaning too much, but kind of nice and upright. That feels good for you. Nothing that feels totally uncomfortable we shouldn't try to keep doing. Things will change in time, so our posture will change. Everything will change. But what is it just now? How you sit the most relaxed, upright, comfortable way. You have your hands in position. Perhaps your thumbs are touching each other. And then your breath. Is doing its traveling in and out. Muscles are expanding your lungs and your stomach on your abdomen, and new air can stream in, and there it goes all the way to the bottom, and it releases its oxygen and changes chemicals. And then again muscles are helping it go out, and new air will come. Same in the same way. Things comes and goes. Different sensations comes and goes. Bodily sensations. Ear is just picking up sounds. We don't have to control it. We don't have to do anything. It's just all our senses are working properly well, the way they are working. Or if they are working, but they are working. We don't need to decide. We don't have to worry about that. And same with our thoughts. They are publishing different kind of observing things here and there, naming things, suggesting something. But that's again totally wonderful activity. So there's nothing really that we should to blame. The way this body is sitting and the mind and heart working is perfect. So what is the problem then? Maybe it is too bad if there are no problems. Then we feel like puzzled. There should be problem. At least one or two. And then we can make problems, of course, if we don't have any. This is the comparison, right word? There is this in practice we sometimes talk about this mirror-like mind. And it is, of course, it's completely, it's so good example, even helpful. So we could think that first we have this muddy water. And then when we really sit on our sitting bones and we breathe this one breath at a time, and we have this complete view of being alive, and if we just stay there, we don't need to judge, we don't need to do anything, this muddy water will become clear. It's as simple as that. Our mind, heart will become more clear. And when it becomes clear, it becomes, or it is, it's really revealed this fact that it is like a mirror. We all are like mirrors. Meaning that when we are free from unnecessary inputs and outputs, things are as they are, and they moves on without any interruption. So be awake. Be awake, he would exclaim. And the answer, yes, yes. Here, here. Be awake is to be this mirror. Isn't it amazing how it works? It's really amazing thing. Bodhisattva of compassion, Kanseon, is say that she hears and sees the sorrow and suffering of the world. Like we can also see. But it's hard to see if we are not like a mirror. I think, honestly speaking, I think this was for me quite difficult to, at one point, to really understand, because it felt like mirror-like is somehow cold. Like too cold. It's just okay. There is this green banana. Okay, now there is this apple pie reflecting. And now there is war. But there is no feelings, no human. There is no... that was the way I kind of understood it at one point. or I felt it, that there was something missing. Maybe I'm the only one who have had that kind of problem with this comparison. But today I don't think about that way anymore. It is more clearly so that it's hard to do things, it's hard to act freely, it's hard to be alive freely, and so if we have too much inputs, if we have again, I'm in trouble. I'm trying to explain this. Yes. Don't be deceived by others any day, any time. No, I will not. Who is the one who can say that? No, I will not to be deceived by others any day, any time. It is that mirror. You can't, it's reflecting exactly without taking any sides, no judgments, no manipulation. It is what it is. And whatever it is just a reflection in the mirror. Our true self is breathing through all forms there is. All the forms, no matter what they are, what we are, our true self is breathing through that. Now it is a candle, now it is a flower. Now it is a cup of water. There is a verse, and there is a commentary too, but let's see if the verse gives anything interesting. Those who search for the way don't realize the truth. Those who search for the way don't realize the truth. They only know their old discriminating consciousness. Do they really know if they are searching? This is the cause of the endless cycle of birth and death. Yet ignorant people take it for the original self. This sounds like he's like not quite happy who wrote this poem. Not quite happy for the situation. But perhaps this is opposite. It's very important to know our discriminating consciousness. And it is the cause of the endless cycle of birth and death. What is wrong with this birth and death? Isn't it our true life to become and to go, to come and to go all the time. I think for the closing this talk, because I think I must do that. I would like to read, perhaps I did it last time when I was visiting here, but again I would like to read Dorei Zenzi's Bodhisattva Vow. Because if there is anything I would like to say about this practice, I already spoke a lot, but is that this isn't what we think necessarily this practice is, and it goes for all of us. We quite easily wants to claim this practice. We want to make it under some idea or name. We want to make it something so that we can understand where it stands and how we should deal with it. We kind of must make it a bit smaller, this practice, so that we can place it in the right place in the queue of other things, or something like that. But I think we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't try to understand this practice even. Instead, we kind of become simple people, and we again and again we return to our cushion, our safu, for example, or even if we are walking in the streets or doing shoppings in the market, there as well we can become simple and just be the breath and the shopping list and those green bananas, and let all the world unfold around and within, to make this whole life as a seamless dance where everything is inspiring and supporting each other. It's very nice. You don't need to be in charge. I don't need to be in charge. I'm not responsible. You are not responsible alone for everything that happens. We do this together. If we just could trust the life a bit more and let it carry us, that would be miracle. And it's so beautiful. So, this Bodhisattva vow, there is something humble here. Torei Zenzi was the descendant from Hakuin Zenzi. It was his closest disciple. And he was almost dead at one point in his life. He was diagnosed with some deadly disease, and he thought, and everyone else thought, that he was done. And that's why he wrote a text that he offered to his teacher, like that he can use it if there is any use for it. And it became famous text. He's introducing some important points of practice there for people who wants to read it. But he didn't die. But I think that experience made him to see the world a bit differently, and opened his heart and make him generous and humble in a very beautiful way, I do believe. So this is his version of what is Bodhisattva vow. When I look deeply into the real form of the universe, everything reveals the mysterious truths of the Tathagata, which is a Buddha. This truth never fails, in every moment and every place. Things can't but shine with this light. Can't help but shine with this light. Realizing this, our ancestors gave reverent care to animals, birds, and all beings. Realizing this, we ourselves know that our daily food, clothing, and shelter are the warm body and beating heart of the Buddha. How can we be ungrateful to anyone or anything? Even though someone may be a fool, we can be compassionate. If someone turns against us, speaking ill of us and treating us bitterly, it is best to bow down. This is the Buddha appearing to us, finding ways to free us from our own attachments. The very ones that have made us suffer again and again and again. Now on each flash of thought, a lotus flower blooms, and on each flower a Buddha. The light of the Tathagata appears before us, soaking into our feet. May we share this mind with all beings, so that we and the world together may grow in wisdom. Thank you, and now we will make 3 prostrations.